Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Joy Mentor. I'm extremely excited about our guest today, Katrina Fischer. Katrina started her career in the real estate industry and after 10 years decided to leave the industry and pursue her passion in fitness and health. She founded her own personal training studio in 2015 called Elev8 Performance. Amazing. After a few short years, Katrina started experiencing her own hormonal health issues. After a long journey, she was finally diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. Hashimoto's disease is a condition in which your immune system attacks your thyroid. The thyroid gland is part of the endocrine system, which produces hormones that coordinate many of your body's functions, if you can imagine. After years of trying to cure her disease through medications and different doctors, Katrina finally started turning inward to heal her own body. 3 years later, the good news, her thyroid has returned to normal. All of her symptoms have subsided, and she now teaches other women how to reclaim the power back over their body and how to heal their body with their thyroids and their hormones being balanced. So, welcome.
Thank you. What an awesome introduction. I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited. For those of you that don't know, Katrina is one of my children's favorite people. They grew up together. So I felt like this is just the biggest honor, and they're more excited about it than any interview that I've done, which is so sweet. So I am honored to be here with you today. So
Oh,
let
thank
me
you.
ask you a question. I'm kind of like blown away how in the midst of running this gym and building this fantastic business, like what were your symptoms? How did you know that something was wrong?
Yeah, so I had been running the business only for 2 years. So I was still relatively new at running the business. But, it is a personal training studio. So I'm super inclined and in tuned with my body. Worked really, really hard to maintain, a certain physique. And I started gaining a lot of weight. Unfortunately, I never had any hair loss or anything like that. But I was gaining weight and I was like questioning it. I'm like, my diet is still on point. I'm still working out. I really don't understand what's going on. And I had extreme brain fog. So what that felt like was honestly like some days I could be driving and then it was almost like I would be like, what's going on? Or I could sleep for like 3 days straight. And I knew that I pushed myself hard, but being able to sleep for 3 days and still not wanting to get out of bed, it was just, I knew something was wrong. And it was actually one of my clients that asked me if I had ever gotten my thyroid checked. And I was like, no, I haven't. So I went in and I got it checked, and I actually got misdiagnosed at first with hypothyroidism. So it wasn't until actually another client of mine, when I was being treated for the hypothyroidism, asked me, because none of the symptoms were really going away, if I had ever heard about Hashimoto's. And so I went back, asked to get rechecked for Hashimoto's, and lo and behold, I actually had it. So
Wow. I mean, you talk about two godsends as far as those two clients. That's
yes.
amazing. I always think it's incredible how we hear so clearly when we have something that we need to pay attention to. That's amazing story. And so how did that lead to you deciding to develop this hormonal health program that you're doing now?
Yeah. So anybody that has ever, I guess, gotten sick or has a disease, I'm sure that they can relate to this. But I just started doing massive amounts of research, and people started giving me massive amounts of advice. And I started seeing different doctors. I was like, well, let me try holistics. I went to an acupuncture. I was drinking Chinese herbal tea. Like everything that anyone recommended, I tried it and nothing was working. I and it, I was listening to so many other people that at one point, just the noise of the outside advice and the doctors and everyone telling me to do so many different things got to be too overwhelming. So I kind of shut it all out. And I started to really, think to myself, the only person that can really heal me, or the only person that really understands what I'm feeling or going through is myself. And so I was very, very fortunate enough to come across a doctor. Her name is Dr. Tara. I actually still work with her, and she's actually part of my hormonal health program. She helped give me the tools to start really listening and listening to my body and what my body was asking for and its needs. And that's basically how I was able to develop this program over the course of 3 years. Lots of trial and error with myself, but really understanding what my body needed and wanted.
That's amazing, because really that message of tuning into your body, like it's something I even talk to my clients about, even though we're talking about their joy, right? And being happy. But honestly, there it all is inside. And so if people can just tune it out. I love how you said that. I've been sick in the past. I've had over 11 major surgeries on my body.
Oh,
I've
wow.
gone through a lot since I was a little kid even. But it's funny, it is about, there's so much advice, and I know people are trying to be helpful and they give
Right.
all this advice, but it's like, okay, enough. I can't do all these different things, right? So I love the fact that you tuned in. You tuned into you. And it sounds like Dr. Tara, is that her name?
Yes.
Yeah, she sounds like an amazing person and resource to you, because it worked. I mean, that's what's so incredible. You tuned in and it worked. And so now that's amazing. I know that 3 years is a long time to spend. And I love the fact that you actually went through it yourself. You're not trying to tell us about something that you didn't do. This is your journey, and you're
Mhm.
sharing with us what worked. And that's incredible in itself. So can you talk to me a little bit about, like, I don't know a lot about this, but can you talk to me about the kind of testing that you do that helps people understand if they have an issue? Because that I'd love to do personally. So yes, tell us
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
absolutely. So there are a lot of signs that people come to me with that are pretty kind of glaring out that there is some sort of hormonal imbalance going on. Obviously, brain fatigue, extreme exhaustion, bloating. So like if you eat certain things and you notice like you're super bloated afterwards, gassy a lot of the times, severe inflammation. Also irregular periods or extreme menstrual cramping. Those are all just like physical signs that people kind of already know that they're experiencing, and they'll come to me with that. And then we do a brain and metabolic assessment test. So it asks you a series of questions. You basically rate your answers 1 through 5. We do it in the beginning of my program, and then we do it again at the end of the program, so that you can kind of see, the difference that the 90 days has actually made. And then we assess off of those tests to really kind of figure out, is the imbalance maybe in your gut health? Is it coming from your thyroid? Like, where is that imbalance potentially coming from? And then if the tests aren't enough, then we recommend doing a full panel of blood work. So we can go that next step. And we also really do recommend that everybody does get a full panel of blood work drawn, because it's going to give you like concrete data, right? So without actually being able to see the blood work and what the blood work says, we're going to go off of, physical symptoms, mental symptoms, how you're feeling, obviously those assessments, but blood work is always definitely the way to go. And I always tell everybody that when you do get your blood work drawn, make sure that you ask for a full hormone panel, because a lot of the times the doctors will not automatically do it. And that's because they do know that a lot of people nowadays are getting the blood work, but then they're utilizing that information, not necessarily to go and get medication, but to help understand ways that they can naturally cure those things. And just unfortunately, when it comes to a lot of the Western medicine, they're not really interested in doing anything but giving you medication. So you definitely want to make sure that you ask for a full hormone panel when you do your blood work.
Yeah, that's interesting because I know you're right, and we would all prefer to have healthy solutions that don't include medication. I mean, there are so many side effects from medication that it's like if you can avoid them at any point in your life, you're far better off. So this sounds really interesting and intriguing. And I know because I just recently did one actually, that they can ask their doctor and they will get the information back on the panel. So then they can actually give that to you and you can look at it and it'll help you even get more closely into what's going on with them and what needs to be done. That's
Yep,
incredible.
exactly.
Okay, that's incredible. And then like what things do you do to start healing hormones? Like how, I don't know anything about that, but what do you do?
So we do a lot of work with honestly food. So nutrition is huge, right? And I think we just don't understand how big of an impact nutrition is on our bodies. So there's just lots of healing properties, lots of antioxidants, making sure that you're getting high quality foods, organic foods. It really, and also consistency and a certain period of time are definitely needed to allow, your body to absorb the nutrients, to absorb, all of those amazing vitamins, minerals, and really start to heal itself. I mean, the body's number one job in its life is to preserve itself, right? It's always working to stay alive. And so it wants to heal. We just have to give it the tools and the elements, and basically the fuel to be able to do that. So we work a lot, with nutrients, cutting out, processed foods, sugars, any of the items that could actually, prohibit the body from being in a state of healing. And then we also do, depending on the person, we have recommended supplements that will help the body detox. If someone's experiencing thyroid issues, we have supplements that help the thyroid actually work, versus like somebody that goes to the doctor and they see maybe their thyroid level is low, right? They give them synthetic hormones. Instead of putting synthetic hormones into your body, we're actually trying to give the thyroid items that will help it work by itself. So instead of trying to mask the problems, we're basically trying to cure the problems. And then on top of that, another key element, and obviously, this is probably something that you talk to a lot with your clients about as well, but the mind and the body are integral, they're so connected. So as your body's trying to physically start to heal, we also work on the mental well-being of our clients as well, because it's so important, especially if somebody has, been experiencing these things for a long time, to detach yourself from actually, acknowledging and saying like, I'm sick, or I can't heal, or, I can't lose weight. When you believe those things, it's really hard to work through them. So we start working on statements like, I can heal myself. My body can heal. I can lose this weight. I can get healthy. So we work through exercises like that as well. And yeah, those are definitely, some of the things that we work on through the program is, food, nutrition, getting our bodies in, as best possible shape as we can, and then working on our mental well-being as well.
Now that you are on the right ticket there. You absolutely are. And it's interesting because I've gone through both times in my life, right? Where I ate healthy, where I didn't eat healthy. I'm astounded. I've been on the eating healthy and whole thing now for quite a while. I'm astounded at the difference in my body. Like I had a lot of arthritis and things in my body from so many surgeries, but if I start eating like that, I think it cuts out all inflammation or something. And my body just responds in this incredibly positive way. So that's fascinating. And then the other thing you said was mindset. And like, I study neurology, and I've actually studied the effects of food on the neurology, but more importantly, how you literally, like, we have these programmed parts of ourselves that say, like what you're talking about, it doesn't take very long for a belief like that to become ingrained into our neurology. And then we're just running on an automatic track, even though we don't know that's what we're doing. And so I hear you. That would be like, like the most amazing thing to help people like start to reprogram that. And they've proven now scientifically, if you look at positive things, like if you focus on positive things, it changes your chemistry, your body chemistry, which is like mind. But I love this stuff.
Yeah.
I love
No,
this stuff. It's so
absolutely.
true, though.
Yeah, and one of the biggest components is education, right? So I try to get, people into the mindset of, this isn't about dieting, right? It's like living in that diet mentality is, so detrimental to people's hormones in the beginning, because our bodies need that fuel, right? And I always tell everybody, I was like, think about your body like it was your dream car, right? You only get one your whole
Right.
life, right? How are you going to take care of that dream car? If you invested a lot of money in buying it, you only get one. Are you going to go to the gas station and fill it up with 87? The chance is no. You're going to always be putting that 91 fuel. So why do you put the 87 food in your body, right? You only get one. If it gets ruined and wrecked, you can't replace it. So I always just tell everybody, I was like, think about your food like your fuel, right? That's all it is for our body, is it's our fuel. It basically determines how well we feel, how good our bodies perform, how good our organs can, if they're functioning optimally or not, if our brains are functioning optimally or not. It's all controlled by our nutrition. So once you kind of start to think about food in a different light, it's not about restricting yourself. It's about making choices that correlate with, loving yourself and loving your body and honoring yourself, and, being like, I deserve to feel good. This food makes me feel good. I deserve this. I love myself enough to want to feel good and want to be good. And so that mindset is completely different than I can't have this, right? When you have that type of mindset, it's just such a more difficult journey. So in educating, people is also definitely a huge part of this journey for myself as well.
It is. And what's interesting about what you said, I had someone say to me recently, and I loved it, Katrina. She said, the word diet has the word die in it. But I
Yeah,
was
basically.
like, you know what? I mean, because I was of that generation where we were taught, like, to eat nothing. And I remember trying that even in college. I literally ate like one Sago bar a day. It was insane. But I wanted to be thin so bad, but I was actually harming my body by doing that. And I have learned now, man, if I try to take something away from myself and say, you can't have it, I'm telling you, I must be a rebel, because I immediately want it as soon as it's like, I can't have it. So you're right. Like, to restrict yourself on certain things, like there's ways I have wonderful desserts that I make that are totally whole food healthy. And I don't eat them every night, but there's times where I'm like, okay, I want something sweet. So I make like this little pumpkin tart thing or just different stuff. But you're
Yeah.
right. I love that, because people need to be educated to stop dieting. And your thing about not putting 87 in is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The other thing you talked about, which I really liked, was self-care. And I'm wondering, like, we've been through this crazy time. We're still in this crazy time, right? Feels like 5 years, hasn't been that long, but it feels like a long time. So what are you doing to take care of yourself? Like, during this time, what are some of the things you're doing, like, to feed your soul, to get you to laugh, to like really enjoy life and to play? I'm a big component of people playing and laughing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you do to do that for yourself?
Absolutely. So I was fortunate enough that when I was going through this healing process with my Hashimoto's, one of the things that I learned how to do is kind of like quiet my mind. And I do a lot of breath work. So I have my morning routine where I pray, I journal, I do breath work. And, that really helps set my day off. In a good light. So that I know when I skip my morning routine, I kind of start my day off, kind of in a funk. So my morning routine is super important to me. And then, to be honest with you, COVID slowed my life down so much, as I'm sure it did everyone else's. And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I am somebody that is always on the go, right? And it made me just kind of take a pause, spend more time with my fiance, who he's always my dose of laughter because he's hilarious. So he's always joking around, and I always just laugh because he's funny. But you know, we were just at home way more. And that for me, just being around the people that I love, and slowing my life down was just, honestly, it was amazing for my mental state. It was, it was one of those things where I was just like, okay, well, whatever happens, from this, it's kind of out of my hands. So I'm just going to be present and enjoy today. And I think that that was a life lesson that I don't know if I would have ever experienced that if I wasn't forced, like the rest of the world, to actually stop, and I think that just makes you appreciate things more.
Oh my goodness. You're 100% right on. And it's interesting because my son Pat was like, Mom, I almost feel bad because I'm enjoying this time so much. Like he was at home with his wife and they were really enjoying it. And all of us needed to slow down. So it's
Right.
kind of interesting, the whole thing. But you know what you did that's so incredible? You looked at everything through a positive mindset.
Yeah.
You decided, and I did too, you can focus on what you can control. What you can't control, no matter how much you want to worry about it, you can't control it. And so
Right.
I think you're like right on that you decided, hey, this is it. I'm going to slow down. Obviously, we're all going to slow down right now a little, right? So I'm going to slow down. And that's an incredible thing. I also just want to let everybody know that you understated how amazing you are at the beginning of this. It's a truth because you're brilliant and you have done
Yeah.
so much. Like the Elev8 Performance Gym is incredible. It's in Orange County, California, and it's incredible. And I wonder if you would talk a little bit about body image for women. And like, is there anything we can do to try to have a more positive, loving body image of ourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this one definitely will strike a chord with myself. Because before I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, kind of I mentioned, I had a very lean physique. I stayed in a very lean, manner. And when I was in that lean physique, I was probably the least confident and the least loving of my body ever. And it was because I was just in an industry that was very um, comparison driven, right? So you want to be the leanest, you want to, have the lowest body fat, like you're just always kind of trying to get to that next level. And Hashimoto's kind of similar situation. It kind of forced me because, I gained, I want to say like 50 pounds, right? It forced me to start loving myself regardless of what I look like. Again, it was something that I was trying to understand, and I was trying to, get like my hands wrapped around it, and I was trying to get it under control. But like I said, it took me 3 years. So I just came to a place where it's like, you have to love and honor your body no matter what phase or season of life that you're in. Because we only get one life. And if you take a step back and stop comparing, because I think comparison is really the thief of joy, right? We are shown certain things on social media. We're shown highlight reels. We're shown, models and what we should look like. And it's just, I think that comparison factor. So, starting to really, appreciate yourself and turn inward. I think spending time with yourself, really, I think, and trying to change the, small talk in your head to be positive, to start becoming your biggest fan. Because I think that a lot of the times, we're not the person telling ourselves like, dang girl, you look good, like, like it's okay to, like, put yourself on that pedestal, because you should, because if you're not putting yourself there, like, who else is going to do that for you? You got to be your biggest fan. So I think that, just getting into the mindset of talking positive to yourself, because I don't think that we do that enough in this society.
You are the most beautiful, authentic inspiration. because
Oh,
that
thanks.
is
Yeah.
so real. And it's interesting. I had someone say to me a few months ago, and it was like, it really hit me. And what they said was, you can't heal the body that you're busy hating.
Yeah,
And I was
absolutely.
like, wow, because I have so many scars all over my body from having multiple surgeries and almost dying of something called MRSA. And when she said that, I really stopped and I realized, like, my body has taken me through unbelievable things in this life, right? Like
Right.
outstanding, amazing things. And it still gets me up every day. And I
Right.
start again. And so what you're saying, we all need to stop being so critical to ourselves. And I
Yeah.
talk a lot about the comparison thing you're talking about with women and social media, because they're like, here's this glimpse, right? And it's like the
Right.
perfect couple, the perfect family, the baby looks great, everything's perfect. And I'm like, you guys, as soon as they shut off that camera, that baby starts screaming, and the mom is like, oh, I'm so glad we got the good shot, right? But there's real life, real moments. I call us human messes, because
Yeah.
that's what's so beautiful about us, is that we're made with all these emotions, and we really are made perfectly. We were made perfectly. So we don't need an improvement plan. And
Right.
really, having gone through all this in a near death experience, I can tell you what mattered when I went over to the other side: your heart,
Mm.
love, the people that you love here and that you allow to love you. Like, loving yourself was huge. And I was surprised by that. I thought, because we're good at women, right, at taking care of other people, but
Oh,
like
absolutely.
really learning to, like, okay, how do I take care of me? That's different. And so, yeah, I love that you said that. And the other thing that I know for you that is big in your life and is big in my life is God. And so I'm wondering if you can just talk about, like, how that colors your life in a beautiful way. Like, what does your faith mean to you? How does it help you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually was not really raised with religion in my life. We didn't grow up in the church or anything like that. And when I was going through, my difficulties with Hashimoto's, a lot of people were like, why don't you go to church? Why don't you pray about it? And so I went to a few different churches and I was just like, I'm not sure. It just wasn't resonating with me. I had always believed that there was a God. I just had never felt it, right?
Oh,
But I didn't give up and I kept going. And I actually went to a service at Mariners, a church in Irvine. And that was the first time I had ever felt the Holy Spirit. And at that moment, I was just so at peace. Like I had been just like searching and searching and searching for, how can I was basically trying to be like, how can I fill my cup up again? Because there's just so much going on. My life kind of felt out everywhere. And that interaction, it really just, I wanted more. So I went to a 6-week course at Mariners. I really dove right in. I and just have never really looked back. I like let God kind of drive the seat, right? I think that we're stewards of his ship. I'm super grateful for all the blessings that he's brought into my life. And I think that the biggest blessing is the people that he brings to my life, and the conversations that we have centered around God. And yeah, I definitely every single day in that Bible talking to God, and I always just ask him for guidance. Really, I just ask him for guidance, and how I can help spread his message, right? Help more people heal. Because I feel like he gave me this is the biggest blessing that I think that he gave me, is going through this whole journey, so that now I'm able to help other women. Because I mean, as women, we know if your hormones are not balanced, it is a very difficult life to live. Very, very difficult, because your emotions are all over the place. And we don't deserve to live like that, right? We deserve to live in a balanced, healthy, happy life. And so, yeah, no, I thank him every single day for blessing me with this program. So
yeah, it's so interesting because I had this, you reminded me because I was young, I had this experience when I was 26 and I actually wanted to commit suicide. I was so down on myself and in my life. I was at a low point. I was drinking a lot. And I was at a low point in my life. And what's so crazy is I'd been thinking about it for a while. And then what happened was everybody went to bed and I went down to sit on the couch, and all of a sudden I decided to get on my knees. And I had been so far away from God or even the idea of God. I was definitely running my own deal, right? And but I had this experience where I got down on my knees and I said what I think still is probably the most sincere prayer in my life, which is, if you're there, help me. And I had this immediate feeling of the Holy Spirit surrounding me. It was pure love. I was so naive that I was afraid to get up because I thought if I got up, maybe it would go away. So I stayed there for a really long time. But anyway, within a couple of days, I found my teacher, who was my amazing teacher for years and years and years. My whole life changed. I got sober, things got better. Like, it's just crazy what happened in my life. But I love hearing you talk about that because I know that deep peace. I know that beautiful, deep peace.
yeah.
It's astounding, right? And really, that's all we need to do is, instead of like going to this crazy brain of ours to try to get information, to just be like, hey, what do I do? I do that every morning, and I do a lot of what you said every morning for an hour. And I start my day by saying, hey, I turn myself completely over to you. Now, what would you have me do today, and how can I serve? Because it's about serving, and you've got that 100% right. And I know that's what you do. You're an incredible inspiration to so many people. And I'm completely honored to have gotten to talk to you today. So
Thank
here's the
you.
thing, everybody. Right below this is Katrina's website. There's incredible information, and she has a free gift for you. Will you tell them about the free gift?
Yes, absolutely. So, for any of your listeners that are interested, I am going to be giving away the free brain and metabolic assessment that I shared with you, that I put my clients through. And then that way you can get an idea of if you are experiencing any hormonal imbalances, where they could be potentially coming from. And it's just an amazing tool. So, I'm excited to share that with you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. We know you're busy and it's very deeply appreciated. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It was so great being on.